I think that's us live.
Okay,
so hello and welcome to what is the first live GlenAllachie tasting via YouTube and Facebook. It's myself, Ben Chambers, and my colleague Ronan Curry, who will be taking tonight's tasting for you. We're going to go through the 15-year-old GlenAllachie, the 25-year-old GlenAllachie, and the 12-year-old Limerick this evening. Some of our award winners, and take it from there.
if you have any comments, questions, or whatever, just during the sort of live broadcast, feel free to throw a little comment down. Ben and I will be monitoring them, and any questions we find interesting enough, we may answer. If they're really, really difficult, we'll just ignore them and let someone else answer them at a later date.
Yeah, so I think we're going to kick this evening off with the 25-year-old. So our 25-year-old GlenAllachie was done quite well for us very recently, winning double gold in the San Francisco Spirits Awards, and also getting a gold medal in the 21-year-old and over single malt category at the World Whiskey Awards. So you got a glass run? You ready?
I've actually managed to acquire a GlenAllachie glass. Had to pay for it, but I got one.
I didn't. I'm going unbranded.
This is a great excuse to drink during the week.
So as you'll see, just a little bit on us, as you'll see, both observing the safe rules and regulations of isolating in your own home. Already had one or two comments. No, we are not in the same kitchen. I know it does look quite similar in the background. But no, we are unfortunately housebound, the pair of us, and working from home, as I know many people are. So, you know, I'm going to say to everybody that is working from home this evening and hopefully joining along with this tasting, slange. And here we go.
If this is one of the things that can be counted as working from home, you know you've got a pretty decent job. What are we picking up there, Ben? What's your first thoughts on the nose?
A little bit of sort of orange peel, marmalade, hints of vanilla, some sort of soft cherry tones showing through. I wouldn't say it's, you know, some of the other expressions we have, you get quite a big punch of traditional, you know, sherry flavors, sherry aromas. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. I'm not getting a huge amount of dried fruits and raisins and things like that, but it is definitely there.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. Get a little bit of sort of spicy chocolate coming through, I find.
Yeah.
Sort of chili chocolate, that sort of flavour.
Yeah, there is definitely a spice to it.
So we've been asked there, how much does it mean to win awards? In general, it does mean quite a lot to win awards, especially something like the San Francisco Awards. It's so sort of highly sought after and sort of contested that coming out and winning a double gold in a category is quite an achievement, especially for a relatively new independent single malt that we are. For just being independent for the past 3 years, winning some of these prestigious awards is quite an achievement for an independent distillery.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we mentioned the San Francisco Awards, we mentioned the World Whiskey Awards. I think it's fair to say that out of all the awards out there, not belittling any particular awards, they are probably two of the biggest and two of the most prestigious. which is why I placed a little bit of emphasis on those. And it's also part of the reason we're doing this tasting this evening. This is very much going through, three of these whiskies, or the three whiskies that we're doing this evening, all won gold or double gold at the San Francisco Awards that was announced sort of over the last few weeks. And that is a big achievement for a small independent distillery company. It is one of the bigger, more prestigious awards ceremonies or shows, and like with the World Whiskey Awards, which again we were lucky enough this year to win a number of awards at 25-year-old getting awards in both. So fingers crossed it goes on from there.
Especially for whiskies of this age, 25 years, say the 21 or whatever age these whiskies come out at, older whiskies, it's a real sort of testament to the quality of the spirit that was being put down previously. You're talking the distillery being operated by Pernod Ricard before. It's a real sort of testament to the actual quality of spirit that was being laid down to mature in the warehouses at that time, predominantly going into blends at that point in time. But it's these sort of awards, tasting this 25-year-old, is a real indication that the spirit that was actually being produced by the distillery was of high quality, even although some maybe would presume that it was just because it went into blends that it was somehow not good or not of great quality. But when you taste something like this 25 and you win golds, double golds in these awards, it's just a real testament to that.
Yeah, it shows sorry.
Oh, carry on, Ben. Sorry.
It shows the quality of not just the distilling done by Pernod Ricard all those years ago. It shows the quality of the casks that we used at the time. I think it's testament to the quality of our warehouses and maturation. It's also testament to the finishing, which Billy is so famous for. Managing and also the blending skills that Billy is so famous for, being able to pull in that combination of types of cask, because that's what this is. It's not all sherry cask, it's not all bourbon, it's not all sort of virgin oak or anything. It's a combination of American oak and Oloroso sherry casks being married together by our master blender, Billy Walker, and it is testament, as I was saying, to the quality of liquid which has been produced all those years ago. Really small production is something else that's worth mentioning. There was only 2,000 bottles. So I know that some people go, oh, 2,000 bottles, that's quite a lot. But when you think about that's 2,000 bottles for the world, 2,000 cases of 4, so it's 500 cases. It's really not a lot. It's really, Ronan looks after Asia. When some of Ronan's customers take a chunk, there's not a lot left for everybody else. So we do have to be quite careful where this goes. We've got to be quite careful, or just so that everybody gets a little bit of this absolute gem of a whiskey. I mean, it's got the finish on it just keeps going, which is I'm still tasting. Really enjoying.
I just need to mention, as I've been instructed to by the powers that be, to mention my very poor Wi-Fi signal. I can't see much wrong with it, but when you live in an old tenement flat in Scotland, the Wi-Fi signal doesn't transfer through rooms, especially when you get family members in the other room probably watching Netflix or downloading something. It can really affect your Wi-Fi. And because I'm really cheap as well, and I've went for the lowest sort of cost Wi-Fi, and that's really it. Hopefully you can hear me, and if you can't hear me, leave me a message.
Just to put this into context, Ronan, I'm hoping everybody can see me quite clearly. Ronan lives in the middle of Glasgow, so you'd think he's got pretty good Wi-Fi. I live halfway up a mountain in the tropics, and
the issue is at this time living in a city and you've got everybody in lockdown staying at home. more and more people are connected. I stay in Denniston. Everybody's got their one router. We'll share Wi-Fi, so everybody's just plugged into the same Wi-Fi. So it's, I'm not sure that's technically how it works, but I'm almost pretty sure.
I've seen a number of people asking us the question of where might we be able to find the 25-year-old GlenAllachie. Unfortunately, because of the current crisis, which seems to be with us for the long haul, most of the independent retailers that I could direct you to have unfortunately closed their doors. But there are a number of very good local merchants which are operating either online or local delivery. Again, if working or if living further afield across Europe, we are shipping into a great many European territories. So unfortunately, with the current climate, I do think it's going to be an internet purchase. However, and I'm not going to direct you to one particular retailer or another just for political reasons, to be fair to everybody. I hope anyone watching understand. You get me into trouble, Ron. But yeah, definitely one worth the investment, worth sort of keeping as a. For me, it's an after dinner drink. It's something to sit and sip and really enjoy as the night goes on. You know, you'll all be able to hopefully see behind both myself and Ronan quite a lot of natural light. You know, we've got hopefully long light nights now for the foreseeable future, and I can't think of anything better to sit out in the garden with and sit and sip as the sun goes down than the GlenAllachie 25.
If I go outside with a bottle of GlenAllachie 25 and sit with a dram, I'll probably get arrested because people will presume I've stolen it.
I'm not sure that's because you're in Denniston, Ronan. I think that's just because it's you.
No, that's the way I look. No. Oh, it's actually, you could sit here and just have this and then speak about the dram, the distillery, anything and everything. And there'd be no need to move on to another whiskey. This whiskey would definitely do.
I think it's worth pointing out a few sort of key facts as we go through the GlenAllachie range. As we said before, you know, tonight is number one. So forgive any hiccups, forgive any, you know, pauses where we're not quite sure what to say or do, because, you know, this is the first time we've done this, and hopefully it's going to become a regular event. We're already planning another one next week, another one the week after, and certainly for the foreseeable future of this crisis. Which is hitting everybody. You know, we're going to try and bring the GlenAllachie world to you on a weekly basis, and hopefully share a dram with you on a weekly basis. Might not be myself and Ronan, it might be myself and somebody else. It might be Ronan and somebody else. It might be two completely new faces, but certainly the GlenAllachie team would want to share a dram with you at least every week while we all hunker down and get through this. As I was saying, I think it's worth pointing out some of the sort of particular special or things that make GlenAllachie special. For those of you that might not know, GlenAllachie is a relatively new distillery for Speyside, built in 1967, completed and started distilling in 1968. Designed by a gentleman called William Delm Evans, who designed and built 4 distilleries across Scotland, using slightly different means and methods. So gravity fed originally, anyway. Gravity fed distillery. We do, for efficiency reasons, put a couple of different pumps and various systems in place now. But originally for the distillery was gravity fed, and it also quite unusually uses horizontal condensers. So the 25, it's very prevalent in the 25, and I get it across the whole range. You know, tasting these for the first time, being told, "Oh, it's a Speyside distillery," you're expecting something really light, really soft, really healthy. But GlenAllachie is quite a big spirit. Something why it was so prized by Pernod Ricard for so long, because you know, there's a lot going on there, and you know, the way it was sold to me was a big part of it is these horizontal condensers that, as you go into the still house, you see all the way along side as they come off, and it's that extra. Basically, the reason that we use horizontal instead of vertical is it increases the amount of contact for the liquid, so it gets rid of the impurities, and you can slow down the process. I mean, that's something else that Billy did when he bought the distillery, was slow the process right down to ensure the fruit flavors, the boldness and roundedness of the spirit. And that's very much what this does. You get a much bigger feel or mouth feel coming from the spirit, a much more rounded style, which marries perfectly with Billy's selection of sherry cask or casks in general, because that's what he's famous for, is a bolder sort of spirit with a lot of depth of flavor and a lot of oomph. You know, this is not a whiskey for the light-hearted. It's something really tough. It's got legs for days.
Even this 25-year-old, sometimes you can taste a 25-year-old whiskey, and although they can be very, very good, but sometimes you find them being quite, say, light, or they're very, very short. And when you've got this traditional long fermentation time, but also traditional quite thick, chewy, sort of mouth-coating spirit, at 25, it's just full and full of flavour, full-bodied, and then you're adding in the different cask types in there as well, just give it loads of flavour. But the 25 is just so thick and juicy as well. It's a cracking whiskey. It's one of those ones that you just sort of go, yeah, this is good. There's you sort of run out of words and ways to describe it.
I'm just going to jump on a question that somebody's asked us. So Wendy Galbraith has come in and asked, why do we use individual nostrils when during tasting? Now, I'm going to say,
you want to hear my fact about this?
Go for it. Go, jump in with your fact. Go, because I might be wrong.
I forget the title. Well, nothing to do with actual whiskey. I forget the times of it, but everybody's got a dominant nostril at one point. I think it might be like every 6 hours or whatever. So it changes. So if you breathe in through your nose just now, you'll notice that one nostril maybe flares up more than another. So the reason I would do it is in case I get one nostril more dominant than the other at that point in time, just to see if I'm picking up different flavours. Yeah. Nothing really to do with the whiskey, but because you've got that dominant nostril, it could alternate between flavours that you might pick up.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
when I did my WSET exams, my teacher always told me that, very much like your tongue, like with your tongue, you taste different parts or different things on different parts of your tongue. And I was always told that the reason that you sort of nose the glass and then smell from your side is because you pick up different things on different. It's just like your tongue. You pick up different flavors on different parts of your tongue. With your nose, again, you pick up different smells and scents with different areas of the nose. So it's trying to sort of get more of the smell or aromas up through that path. Again, that could be. I am very, very much prepared to be proved wrong on that. I'm sure there is somebody that sort of knows the exact answer, but that was certainly what I was always taught doing my wine and spirits exams all those years ago. Jump on another question, perhaps, before we move on. So we've got one come in from Sean Russell that says, how would you describe GlenAllachie's style against other whiskies? What makes them stand out as sherried expressions?
So keen, he asked it twice.
He didn't need. Part of that style against other whiskies, particularly Speyside single malts, I'd certainly say is what we talked about with the weightier, heavier, more sort of rounded style. And you know, again, a lot of that comes from the sort of slower distillation process, or everything from fermentation right the way through the production, taking a lot longer to produce, a lot more man hours to produce the spirit. But in addition to that, the extra copper contact, removing more and more and more impurities using these horizontal condensers, makes quite a big difference. And it means you're getting a lot more fruit. You're also getting, due to that production method, you're also getting a lot more weight and style. I'm not You know, I'm not going to be able to sit here and say that it is 100% better than anybody else's. It's just different. It's a weightier, bigger, meatier style. It gives a very full mouth coating, and that's not just the 25. That could be, you know, we're going to move on to the 15. You know, other expressions within the GlenAllachie range, whether it be core range or finishes, all benefit from this production process, and it very much makes it different to a lot of the other Speyside malts on the market. You know, there's other things involved. We use a lot of Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez casks in our production, which again makes it a little bit different. We use a completely unpeated at the moment. We use a completely unpeated malt whiskey to malt. Oh, I've lost Ronan. Ronan has left the building. No, he's back. We use a. He's back and he's clear.
I gave the dog a kick. He's running quicker on the wheel now.
You had to put a couple of 10p's in the meter. But
for any avoidance of doubt, I do not have a dog running on a wheel that's running my Wi-Fi. Just to avoid anything like that before someone complains about it.
Yeah, so a combination of things, but I certainly think the distilling process is a big factor. The selection of casks is another big factor that makes us different. And you know, there will be a host of other things. Everybody has their own sort of secret recipe, so to speak, that will make things a little bit different.
So there was another wee question there from Mari, or maybe not Mari actually. Apologies if I butcher your name. Mihai, I really apologise for not being able to say your name. Where is it going? I've lost it. What food pairing would you suggest? Something not mainstream. What do you think would go well with a 25-year-old? I would often say something really sort of light, to not overpower anything with a 25-year-old. But that could be anything from, again, sort of very, very light cheese, or maybe a slightly smoked salmon, or maybe a light bit of chocolate, but nothing too heavy on the flavour that would just overpower anything. I don't know if you would feel any different, Ben.
Yeah, I think personally, if I was doing a whiskey dinner, you know, using the core range, the range that we have, I think I would pick the 25 as my after dinner drink, you know, as my digestive, so to speak, you know, perhaps to just sit and savor and enjoy. You know, and I'm not trying to use that answer as a cop out, not one bit. I just love it. And I don't want to share its flavor with anything else. You know, I've got lots of good answers for the 12, the 15, the 18, you know, lots of different things that you could do with it. But the 25, you know, I'm really enjoying it just by itself. And as you said, I think if I had to pick something, it would probably be something, maybe smoked salmon, maybe do I've done dishes. I love to cook. I'm a big foodie, love my foods. I'd probably perhaps look at some kind of three-way smoked salmon, whether it be like a hot smoked salmon, your standard sort of thinly sliced salmon, and then perhaps something a little bit obscure. I've done like a beetroot smoked salmon and things in the past, and do it sort of a dish with the three, and going between the different flavor compounds. I could see that probably working quite well. But for me, it would probably be the after dinner drink. It would be of anything in the range, this would be the one I'd have last, just to sit and savor and enjoy in the hopefully summer sunshine at sort of 9 o'clock at night when I'm done.
I think we'll take one more question before we move on to the next dram, I think. And the one that I like the look of was that what different maturation is planned for the future. And this is always something that, being a small and independent distillery, you're able to sort of experiment with maturation more on that side of thing. And what we're looking at and what we've got, what we're laying down really is more Eastern European or Russian oak. You're even delving into sort of Japanese wood types. Always looking for something just a little bit different, something that you can just experiment a little bit with. More recently in the distillery for the bottle your own casks, we've had one of the chinkapins, a Native American wood. So we're always looking at something just to experiment, try something a little bit different, and just sort of play about with, really. Yeah.
I'm just going to jump on two very quick things before we move on. I've seen this twice now down the feed. Gherkin cask. Sorry to burst the bubble, but that was now that we're on the 2nd of April, that was an April Fool. No, we did not put out a green whiskey exclusive to Germany. Sorry.
There was a member of our staff, not our staff, but GlenAllachie, that I think believed that as well, just for a split second.
Yeah, maybe so.
I wouldn't like to embarrass Fiona by saying her name or anything like that, but I think it was just a split second she thought that might have been true.
And then the other one I'm going to jump on is because I'll forget if I don't do it now. There was a gentleman asking, if I scroll back up the list, about new finishes being released, but I cannot see it. Yeah, here we go. Duncan Mathieu in Inverness asking, do we have any new releases coming up? So we have just released, although we have not, because of the whole coronavirus crisis, we have not had an official release, but they are out there on the market. They are available to buy. We have released a 11-year-old port finish, a 9-year-old rye cask, and also an 11-year-old, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say muscatel, but it might be, it is muscatel.
You would be correct.
Yes, I nearly said masala, but it's okay. Getting confused between some of the single casks, but anyway. So no, we've got those. We do have those 3 out and available. They came out over the course of the last couple of weeks. They're into, vast majority of markets, or slowly getting into the vast majority of markets. Obviously, everything is a little bit delayed because of current circumstance. We're doing the best we can. Unfortunately, no matter how much I would like it to be and how much Ronan would like it to be, whiskey's not always deemed essential, which I understand, but part of me questions it. Dare I say that? So unfortunately, it's not getting out and about as quickly as we'd like, but they are available. They are available in a number of markets to purchase, and if they're not in your market right now, fingers crossed, they will be very soon. So they are the 3 newest additions to the range, and there will be more hitting the shelves, hopefully in a local stockist very soon.
Okay,
so
we'll move on to the next whiskey.
Ready to go on to the next. What different? Sorry, I'm just reading a couple of other questions that.
That's fine. If you can read it in silence, I'll pour the whiskey.
I talk to myself all the time. It worries me. It worries my partner. It worries everybody. Don't worry.
You had to get in there. You had a partner just to assure everybody that.
No, there is
someone does love you.
With me on a daily basis, believe it or not. I would say I don't know how she does it, but she's just as bad. So.
Oh, you're in a world of trouble when you get off of this. The next.
She's what? I'm dead.
The next whiskey we're trying is the GlenAllachie 15. Fairly new release in the sense for GlenAllachie. Really matured sherry, PX, puncheons and hogsheads, and then some Oloroso puncheons and hogsheads as well. And this came out maybe October 2019, maybe August, September, October 2019. Full of flavour. People, when they taste this, often some of the words that come is this is a Billy Walker whiskey. And this is what they would describe, if you had to describe what a Billy Walker type whiskey was, this is the one that you would this sort of encapsulates everything that you're looking for. Full of fruit, naturally, very, very juicy, coats the mouth, and then just a lovely combination of PX and Oloroso casks that just create this truly sort of stunning Christmas cake sort of nose, brown sugar, cinnamon, spices, butterscotch, butter, often quite biscuity, I find as well. Stunning nose.
Yeah, no, it's this is definitely out of the whole range. I could drink this for days. And I know that makes me sound bad, but I'm not an alcoholic, I promise. But going off the number of little heart emojis and smiling faces with hearts for eyes, 15, my favorite, the 15-year-old, oh yeah, that we're getting coming up down the side. Quite a lot of you feel the same. That extra use of sort of more PX punchions coming through, it really adds to that. We talked about sherry cask flavors and things before. The raisins, the dried fruits, the sweetness coming through. And again, I could do so much with this, not just drink it. I'd almost love it over some ice cream. It's delicious. It's absolutely delightful.
This 15 came at a great year end for GlenAllachie as a whole. There's so many sort of huge improvements, huge steps taken within that year up until this 15-year-old launch. You're looking at a new visitor centre open. Many of you know Karen and Graham. New visitor centre opening, 2 new warehouses. The amount of staff had, and Ben and I are caught in that net of going from 7 employees up to 21, 22 employees. Now we're probably looking at maybe even more. This 15-year-old sort of capped that great sort of continuation of success that GlenAllachie as a whole was having. And if anything can sort of encapsulate success, I think this 15-year-old's that whiskey.
All right, just very quickly, I'm going to come back to the 15-year-old, but we're getting so many questions coming through, which is great. I'm going to jump on a couple of them very quickly. So the first question I'll jump on is somebody's asking, what whiskey cocktail would you recommend?
Old-fashioned every time.
Old-fashioned? Oh, you see, you're boring.
No, it's classic.
No, I'm going to give you a better one. So
every guy dreams of looking like Don Draper from Mad Men, so you need to then drink an old-fashioned from it as well.
Now, there's a bit of an argument here. Again, it's another question that's popped in over, should you add anything to your whiskey at all? I love my whiskey as it is. Somebody's asked, do you add water? Me, personally, very rarely. If there's a little bit too much alcohol there, or if it's a really big cask strength whiskey, perhaps, but only a tiny amount, and that's personal preference. That's not me telling you how you should drink it. But asking about whiskey cocktails, I think I've worked in every sector of the industry. I've been a retailer, I've been a wholesaler, and now I'm working for a producer. For me, my favorite whiskey cocktail has got to be something called a long-suffering bar steward. And this was developed at the Shepherd Hotel in Cairo. And originally it was done using American whiskies, but I think some of the particularly blended malts, and I know we're not tasting it tonight, but I'm going to give a little shout out to our baby McNair's, our McNair's peated small batch. Because I actually tried. This was one of the first things I did when I got my hands on a bottle of these after joining the company, was try out this particular cocktail. And you're looking at about sort of 50-50 whiskey to gin, London dry style, sort of heavy on the juniper, tends to work best. Over crushed ice, half a fresh squeezed lime. Pop the rind in, give it a good stir through, and then add in a ginger ale. And that sort of elegance that you're getting coming through from the whiskey, the sort of vanilla, also that hint of peat coming through. That's one of the reasons why the McNair's works so well. Marrying up with the ginger, the sweetness of the lime, and also if you're using a really good London dry style, heavy on the juniper, as I said, you've got that sort of citrus and juniper coming through as well, and it really marries together really, really well. Personal preference, if you want to add a drop of Angostura, it does open it up a bit more. For me, I just prefer it lime, ginger ale, gin, and whiskey. But that's the whiskey my go-to whiskey cocktail. As I said, Ronan's boring.
I go for an old fashioned because it's got everything you need in a cocktail. Full of flavour, very easy to make, and you've near enough got everything in your house to to actually make it and drink it. That's why I like it. In terms of adding water to my whiskey, or to the 15-year-old, for the 15-year-old, it's at 46%, unchill filtered, no added colour, but we have added water, reducing it down to 46. So you can add water if you want. Being unchill filtered, still got all the fats, still got all the molecules in there, but adding a drop of water can really open it up and really change it. I tend not to do it with a 15. If I'm trying a new whiskey for the first time, I will add water as a sort of practice anyway, to see if it holds water, or I prefer it without water. And then I just go from there. So with any new whiskey I try, I always add a couple of drops anyway on the first dram, and then I know for the next one. Unless I'm at a bar and if it's too expensive, then I'll not be ordering another one. I'll add water in anyway, and I'll just make do with what you get.
Got another gentleman asking, on your single cask releases, how long do you keep them in the finished cask? Billy's only owned the distillery since, what was it, beginning of, was it 2017? It was 2017.
2017, yeah.
You're looking at, it won't be the same for everyone. It won't be the same for every finish. Different casks take, different amounts of time to marry with the liquid that's in them and impart their flavors and finish. It's not an exact science, unfortunately, so I can't, and this isn't me trying to cop out of answering a question. It's very much down to Billy, and when Billy selects those casks and says, right, they're great, let's bottle them. So yeah, the amount of time that they've been in there has, finished in those casks, varies drastically. And it really is a case of, look, let's get them in that cask and let's get them bottled when they are ready, when they are, at peak. It's not something that we do just because we can. I don't think Billy's ever bottled anything just because he can. It's got to be good. It's got to be ready. Another question asking where Juliet is. Sorry, Juliet. I think the whiskey's getting to me already. Can't even say your surname this evening. Juliet is at home. I believe she's watching, and she will be up in front of the camera doing one of these tastings on another evening, I believe.
Same with Philip Dixon, who loves an old fashioned, so he's my favourite person so far. He's asked the question about cask strength batch 3. So batch 3 of our 10-year-old cask strength has recently come out, and asked about the ongoing trajectory of the cask types that we're using. And again, this goes down to the sort of selection process for what we're looking to bottling and when it's ready and when we're able to bottle it, such like. And we're actually going to be tasting the batch 3 future tasting. So you'll need to tune in again and see if it's two handsome devils like ourselves presenting them.
Yeah. Could be next Thursday, could be the Thursday after. I don't have the exact lineup yet, but definitely on the cards.
And it's good. It's always good to see that in a tasting of the two of us, that people are still looking out for Juliet. It's a real good kick in the teeth when you're in lockdown and alone with your thoughts. Is where's Juliet? Where's Juliet? Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
That's all right. Ali Milton asking, Spirit Speyside Festival's been cancelled. I was so looking forward to getting to spend the week up there. Terrible. I mean, yeah, we normally do a special cask bottling, for the festival. Do we know what cask type has been selected, and also will it be made available for sale? Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact cask types, but I do believe that we are looking at ways to make
Spirit Speysides, 2006 PX Hogshead. 13-year-old, yeah, off the top of my head.
Okay, I thought there was 2.
I pass on the other one.
Okay, so I know I was talking to several members of the team today, and we are toying with ways of how we can get it out, what we can do with it. Can we still put it out even though the festival's been cancelled? Do we need different labels? So watch this space. If I am UK sales manager, so it would go out probably through myself. So if you see my smiling face on here next week or the week after, ask me again, and hopefully I'll have a more specific answer for you then. I know it's with lots of different companies and businesses and things being closed or experiencing delays, and that being from label makers to couriers, we're doing what we can to still bring these products to market and do what we can with them. But it's not. It's a little bit imprecise at the moment. So ask me again next week, and we'll do what we can.
It's a very politician answer, just that.
I'm doing my best. Muscatel or Sauterne? I'll let you answer that one first.
Or is that just personal preference?
I'm assuming it's what do you prefer in terms of finish.
I would go Sauterne.
I would go Sauterne.
Not necessarily meaning that any Moscatel's bad. The Moscatel, the wood finish that we've done, that we tasted a couple of weeks ago, is an absolutely stunning whiskey. It's very, very nice. That's very, very good. But I would lean on the side of Sauterne. Probably. Yeah. We'll move on to the third and final whiskey, will we?
Are we? Okay. I was going to go through another couple.
Because we can go through another couple of questions. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you call first while we do that. Any plans now or in the future to add to the core range like the 15? I'm going to say that'll spoil the surprise. In that,
the look of worry on your face, that I don't know what to say.
We are constantly innovating, experimenting. My first day, I've not been working for GlenAllachie for that long, to give you a bit of background. About a month ago, that I actually started for the company. And my first day up at the distillery, I was sort of going through the yard, around the back, watching them cast, and dozens of different types of cask. So there is potentially a lot going to happen with GlenAllachie. Anybody who's been following Billy Walker through his career, through all the different distilleries he's been part of and owned, will know that he doesn't like to sit still. There's always things in the background. There's always things in the pipeline. There's always different things coming. So to the core range, I honestly don't know, but I'm going to say watch this space. I would not be surprised if he had a few cards up his sleeve and a few new things coming through. Again, politician answer, but I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm going to ask this one to you, Ronan, just because, again, not having been here that long, I've not been fortunate enough to taste enough of them. What is your personal favourite single cask so far?
Okay, I'm going to pick one that's been very, very recent, because I nearly get stuck there. Thankfully, it's a strange, weird flex for me to say that I was recently in Australia, in New Zealand, but that's all it is really. And there was a lovely little virgin oak single cask that was released down under for the Australian market, and it had something just completely different. Not necessarily with GlenAllachie, but when you try single casks and they're very much like the core range, it often puts me off as a whiskey drinker. I like to try single casks that are, say, a little bit more sort of like out there, that are a bit unique or strange or special. The words that your mother used to call you when you were little, that sort of oddness to them that separate them away from the core range. And that sort of little virgin oak single cask was really, really good. So if you're in Australia in the future, check it out, because it is really, really lovely.
Okay. Another question coming through that I'm getting a nudge in the background to answer is, are you planning any non-age statement or a blended malt? So we do have a blended malt, which is out on the market at the moment, which is our McNair's range. We're going to taste the 12-year-old in a second. Both of us with a bottle in hand. But we also have our White Heather range, which is due to be launched very, very soon, which will be a range of blends. However, unfortunately, it has been temporarily postponed due to the current COVID-19 crisis. And we obviously will get it to you as quickly as we can. Another question that I'm getting put to me is really direct for Ronan. Why is Asia such a big market for GlenAllachie?
It's because I'm very, very good at my job.
Okay.
And we can just move on from there. I don't think that answer needs any other explanation.
Okay, well, I'm gonna gloss over the top of Ronan. I'm not saying he's not good at his job, but I think it's fair to say that a lot of hard work and effort has gone into the Asian market across the GlenAllachie team. Asia is a very popular market for the majority of whiskey companies. The growth of whiskey, particularly single malt and malt whiskey in Asia over recent years has been incredible. And in particular, sherry cask whiskies, which GlenAllachie, I'm not saying specializes in, but particularly the core range is almost all made up of elements, if not all, sherry cask finishes. And the 15-year-old which we were tasting, I mean, here is a bottle of it. You'll see straight away from the color. I think it's very important to highlight with GlenAllachie that a key thing for us is that we do not chill filter. We do not use caramel color. And again, you will see the coloring on that. That is all natural. There's nothing being added there. And, the Asian market buys a lot of sherry cask product, and they do like, I think it's fair to say, they do like a whiskey that's very, very dark. So the depth of color coming through some of the GlenAllachies, naturally, it's very important to add that. We are not adding color and we're not chill filtering. Nothing added, nothing taken away. GlenAllachie lends itself very well to the Asian market as a result, and has become very, very, very popular. This is not me taking anything away from Ronan. Ronan, I'm sure, puts in a lot of hours and works very, very, very hard. We got some glowing reports on some of his tastings in his recent work. And yeah, so
and then I just get Ben to answer the questions for me. It's really a give and take. I give out a lot of work, and then Ben just takes all that. But yeah, I would echo what Ben was saying there. The GlenAllachie sort of style or characteristics or sort of persona that's been developed really fits into what typically is a preferred style within certain Asian markets. So it actually really works very, very well. Which is good because it helps me do my job. Right, so takes just very quickly before we ramble on about other stuff, we'll explain the whiskey that we're actually trying. So it is the McNair's 12-year-old blended malt. So blended malt, your 2 Islay distilleries. I seen there was a question asking about 1 Islay. It's 2 Islay distilleries, not allowed to tell you which two. Feel free to guess. You can either confirm or deny whether they are or they aren't. It's one other Speyside distillery, again, not allowed to tell you, and then GlenAllachie. It's all blended at GlenAllachie by Billy Walker. So we've brought all the 4 different casks together and then blended. The cask that you're looking at for this blended malt, it's Furfell bourbon, a little bit of PX, Pedro Jimenez sherry, and then some red wine casks as well. So what you get in here is I would describe it as a very subtle suggestion of peat smoke. I would say sort of old book or sort of a cigar box, that sort of ashiness in there as well. A lot of fruit in the background, typical for the added GlenAllachie. But I would say this 12-year-old is a very good introduction to peated whiskies. If you've never tried peated whiskies before, if you swear off that you've never liked them, start with this 12-year-old. It's a very good introduction to peated whiskies. Doesn't dominate, doesn't just encapsulate all your palate, and you wouldn't be able to taste anything else afterwards. This is a very approachable, very easy drinking peated whiskey. Just a lovely little peatedness in the background.
Yeah, no, a great makeup of casks as well. So combination of first fill bourbon, ex Pedro Jimenez, and all punch-ins, and also some red wine casks thrown in. So it really gives quite a little bit of a difference. It's Billy's. I mean, you know, recently awarded Master Blender of the Year, Master Blender and Master Distiller of the Year. Let me get them right. The Icons of Whiskey awards, and you know, this it's really, really, really evident in this, taking three very different styles of cask and just making it work. Four single malts married together very, very, very well, give a really sort of supple finish. You know,
this is what it's all. This is the art in it all. This is the people often describe sort of master distillers or master blenders as an art form. Doing something like this, taking two distilleries, two different whiskies from Islay, and then from one region, and then blending them together with two whiskies from another region, all different distilleries, and putting them together. This is where it becomes a real sort of skill, a real art, and it often comes down to that we have the easy jobs and we have to sell something like this. But the actual putting it together is the real sort of art to it. And with this 12, it's a really, really approachable, great peated whiskey.
Sorry, I'm just trying to read a couple of questions coming down the side. Lots of people saying hi, guys. So Carl Glenn at Newaz, hi.
Just a quick little point before we jump into anything else, Ben. Obviously, for the UK viewers or listeners, there is a clap and some bagpipes being played for carers and NHS staff at 8 o'clock tonight. So we'd encourage everybody to go out and forget about what we're saying and go outside and show your appreciation to NHS staff and any carers and any key workers that have been working through this pandemic around the world. But so we'll finish just before 8 o'clock. We'll wrap up just before 8 o'clock so we can get ourselves outside to show our appreciation. So don't think that we've just got we'll fire through it and forget about it. Some things are a little bit more important than listening to Ben and myself ramble on about whiskies and how good we are at our jobs when there's actually people who are a lot better at their more important jobs than what we're doing. And if you, as Bill McDonald said, if you play the bagpipes, get yourself outside and get piping.
Absolutely. You know, a couple of questions coming through. Can you tell which Islay distilleries? Unfortunately not. You know, if I meet you one evening at a tasting or whatever it may be, an event, buy me a drink and perhaps, but I'm not going to broadcast it. Got a question coming through from Craig Dearden. Again, forgive me if I pronounce anybody's names incorrectly. It is one of my pet hates. Can I say what the oldest vintage we have in the warehouse is? No. I think that's something that sort of is kept quite close to Billy and the team's hearts. I know there's stuff from, you know, 80s, 90s, 70s. The distillery was only opened in 68, or started distilling in 1968. So certainly not going to be older than that. But watch this space. Is the best answer I think I can give to that one.
To Whiskey and Donuts, I am due a work trip to California. I'd very much like to go to California and relax, work. If you'll send me donuts, I'll come across. That's basically how I'm going to work it. I am open to bribes, very much so. If you just send the package to GlenAllachie Distillery with my name on it, I'll be on the next available flight out of there.
So Michael H.J.S. Lowett, hopefully I got your name correct there. Most hotels, restaurants and bars around the GlenAllachie distillery do not have your whiskey. How come? I think it's fair to say that we are a relatively new company, you know, only really got going in 2017. We are doing our best to get it out there into various wholesalers, retailers, that supply the on and off trade. However, being definitely a distillery that puts quality over price. I'm not saying anything. I think that's against the rules. We're not the cheapest out on the market, but I like to think that we've got a quality to match the price. And it's not the easiest thing to get on-trade wholesalers to pick up to put into hotels and restaurants and things. So it is a work in progress. It is something that we are trying to do. Obviously, at the moment, it's quite difficult because of the current situation. So hopefully when we get out the other side of COVID-19 and I'm able to see you all for a dram, we can really make an impact on that in the local area, because it is a shame, most of the local bars, pubs, hotels should have GlenAllachie on the at the very least.
So we'll call that a night for now. Encourage everybody to get outside, play their bagpipes, applaud. I seen on the news that for last Thursday there was some old women out banging our pots and our pans together. If that's what you want to do, grab your pots and grab your pans. But more important thing to do now is to go out and show your support for carers, key workers, and NHS staff. Everybody has an NHS staff or a key worker in their family somewhere. So just like to say very quickly, thank you very much for tuning in and listening to us ramble on for near enough an hour. But tune in again next week when there'll be other tastings, and we'll keep going as long as we need to.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, guys. It's been a lovely evening. Thanks for having us, and see you soon. Cheers.